Unforced errors. The Minnesota Wild had a 2-0 lead and couldn't hold it as they lose to the Calgary Flames 5-3. Our Locked On Wild postcast starts right now.
You are Locked On Wild Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, your team every day.
Minnesota Wild lose tonight by a score of 5-3 to the Calgary Flames in a game that the Wilds should have been able to hold a lead. So we will break things down on tonight's Locked On Wild postcast. Wild had a 2-0 lead. They looked like they had some fresh legs, some jump after having a few days off after the game against the Dallas Stars. Kirill Kaprizov gets the first goal of the game off of a shot from Matt Boldy at the top of the zone. 1-0 at that point. Mason Shaw and Connor Dewar have a nice little 2-on-1 that leads to a goal for Mason Shaw. 2-0 for the Wilds through the first large portion of the first period. And then in the blink of an eye, it was gone. And it was 3-2 Calgary. The Wild did get the tying goal at that point to make it 3-3. 12 seconds later, the go-ahead goal for the Calgary Flames. And then after that, it was Calgary getting an empty netter to make it 5-3. And so as good of a start as it was, as fun of a start as it was, there just was so much with this game that was self-inflicted. And the end result is 100% self-induced. And this was, with the way that Calgary had been playing recently, this was 100% a winnable game for the Minnesota Wild in this one tonight. You take 6 penalties. Now, I will take exception to the penalty called on Jordan Greenway for goaltender interference because I 100% think that that was a little bit of embellishment, if not trying to trying to induce some contact by Vladar in net. I think he 100% tried to initiate contact with Greenway behind the net. So I don't agree with that penalty, but you have players taking penalties like Matt Dumba trying to knock the puck off the boards behind the net and simply knocking it out of play. 100% is a self-induced penalty. You have Matt Zuccarello getting called for a hooking penalty because he loses contain and ends up trying to overcompensate with his stick. 100% is a self-induced penalty. And you have players who were camped out in front of the net and were just kind of watching as the Flames skated by to flick the puck up past Marc-Andre Fleury. And so little hot under the collar about all that because it's one thing to lose a game in which you have a team that does some things that you are able to, have some success, but then the other team is better. That wasn't the case tonight. I don't think Calgary is a better team than the Minnesota Wild, and yet we see this continue to happen with this team getting sucked into this mode of all of these things happening being 100% self-inflicted and just these lapses in awareness, lapses in judgment, bad defensive breakdowns. It's like you see all this stuff and there just is no instance in which we can have just a simple, hey, the Wild have a 2-0 lead and they're able to skate it out and come away with the victory. It's like as soon as the wheel starts to wobble a little bit, the entire car flips, and the next thing you know, you're on the hood of the car rolling down the hill. And I don't get it because it's pretty clear at this point in the season what this Wild team is and what they are not. This is not the team that we saw last year that can score 1 million goals and just skate through all their problems. They're not built that way. And yet, this team continues to just wait for those same heroics to happen late in games that happened a million times last year. It's not going to work the same way, and it continues to not work the same way that it did last year. And I don't know what it's going to take to flip that mindset. It seemed like it was starting to kind of set in to where we're not having to, we're not having to just get sucked into that trap and that mode every time. But now we do it again in this game. And so that, I think, is the most frustrating part of this one, is that it 100% was a winnable game. And we talked about it earlier in the week. The Colorado Avalanche are falling apart. They are falling apart with the number of injuries that are mounting on that roster. The St. Louis Blues are in free fall again at this point in the season. And so this is an opportunity for the Minnesota Wild to put their foot into the mix in the Central Division. We're in third. I haven't checked to see where they're at now. They were in third heading into tonight, with an opportunity to really put some separation between some of these teams that are missing players and will be missing players for a long time, or teams that just cannot get out of their own way. And instead of trying to separate and to distance themselves, we're getting pulled down into that mix of teams that just cannot get out of their own way. And so it has to change at some point. And we can hear the sound bites after the game of, we got what we deserved. We didn't play like a team that deserved to win. Thank you for clarifying that. But how about we stop doing it? How about we start playing like a team that deserves to win a game and stop having these instances happen where things start off so great and it looks like it's going to be a game in which you don't have to worry about things slipping in and some of that doubt creeping into the picture about the final outcome. Yeah, frustrating game, to say the least. So we're just going to have to flush that one, because you got another tough one coming up on Friday against the Edmonton Oilers. And so we'll continue to break down and digest this 5-3 loss to the Calgary Flames. We got to talk about the Matt Dumba penalty. We got to talk about the Matt Boldy line, because that, it seems like, is starting to really hold him back. So we have a lot to discuss as we continue today's Locked On Wild postcast after this. Our next partner has a product I use literally every single day of the week. I started taking AG1 because it simplifies your vitamin and supplement routine. All it takes is one delicious scoop of AG1, and you're absorbing, get this, 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. And it's lifestyle friendly. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's one thing you can do every single day to take great care of yourself. And it's tried and true with over 7,000 five-star reviews. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Continuing today's Locked On Wild postcast, Minnesota Wild lose 5-3 to the Calgary Flames. Edmonton on deck on Friday night. The Matt Boldy line, I think, is in need of a little bit of a talent infusion. Nick Petan he's played well since he has been called up by the Wild, but he, I think, is way more suited for a bottom six role at some point than a scoring role on the Boldy line. And you see it with Freddie Gaudreau as the center for that line. All of the attention goes to Matt Boldy, and rightfully so. The Wild are going to need to put somebody else on that line to draw that attention away and to even it out. So you're not just tilting the ice every time Boldy's out there on the ice. You're not tilting it to where there is one or two or three people trying to lock him down and keep him out of the play, and thus then forcing Freddie Gaudreau and Nick Petan to be the ones that control it every single time it's up there. So that was an issue and continues to be an issue. Now, when Brandon Duhaime returns, I don't know when that will be exactly, but if it's not by the end of this road trip, I would imagine the Wild will make a roster move to try to kind of inject something into the mix. Good news is that Jonas Brodin has been practicing with the team, was not quite ready to return against the Flames, but maybe on Friday against the Oilers, that would be a huge boost for this Wild defense, especially after some of the things that happened in this one against the Calgary Flames. So that hopefully would be a huge boost, but this team just needs another dynamic type player. They need a speed. They need more of a speed element. They need something. They need something to give them another capable scoring line. There's got to be somebody put on that line with Matt Boldy to help try to inject a little more juice into that mix. And on the power play side as well, we saw it again tonight that the Wild are struggling to even get the puck into the zone, and it really only seems like it's one player that is doing it, which is a pretty easy tell for the opponent. And so all Calgary does is just create more traffic right on the blue line, and then you're trying to weave your way through 8 bodies, 9 bodies right there on the blue line to try to get it into the zone. And it creates a lot more issues than are even necessary for that power play. And so you've got that. You have just some of the defensive breakdowns again that were cause for concern. Some of those goals in front of Marc-Andre Fleury. You've got defensemen, with their backs turned to the play, kind of getting turned around, Olade. It was 100% self-inflicted. And so it's a situation where this team just, as they do anytime this happens, and it feels like it happens way too frequently, anytime this sort of thing happens, the Wilds take a look inward. They come out with a better effort the next game. But again, I go back to, why do we keep needing to have this conversation? It should just sink in at some point and be ingrained with this team that they're not capable of all the things that they did last year, and that they need to be more on top of everything else in order to come away with wins. And so a frustrating one, to say the least, here tonight against the Calgary Flames. And so the Wild will try to get back into the win column when they take on the Oilers on Friday. That will do it for tonight's Locked On Wild postcast. Thank you to those who tuned in, and reminder, for more content on the Minnesota Wild, make sure you are following Locked On Wild on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms. We're keeping you up to date with new episodes every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Sports Podcast Network.